Remember that lunatic Republican Kansas Secretary of State, Kris Kobach, who is helping Donald Trump, quote, investigate the widespread voter fraud from the 2016 election? Voter fraud that quite obviously never existed and doesn't exist. Donald Trump claiming that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally for Hillary Clinton. Totally fantasy world claim, like most of the claims that Trump has made so far. The whole point of this initiative to look into strengthening voter blah, 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 it appears to be a pretext for creating even more aggressive voter ID laws. But let's put that aside for a second. The guy who is the vice chairman of the initiative is Kris Kobach. He's the Kansas Secretary of State running for governor. Is that you mentioned that, of Kansas in 2018? He asked all 50 states for their full voter roll data. And a reminder about Kris Kobach, he's the guy who complained publicly many times about undocumented immigrants voting in Kansas, even though there are only 5 alleged cases in Kansas in the last 13 years. He's the guy who didn't even know how to walk around with classified or secret documents, sensitive documents about the plan for fighting terror with Donald Trump. He walked around with like a completely open manila envelope where you could just take a picture and read what the plan was. I mean, just an embarrassingly incompetent guy. He asked for all of this data. So what is in this voter data? Voter names, birthdays, the last 4 digits of their social security numbers, as well as their voting history dating back to 2006. Now, that doesn't mean who they voted for. It means whether you voted. But regardless, starting with the Massachusetts Secretary of State, many states, now 44 states, have said, sorry, Donnie boy and Chris, we're not sharing it. States were given a deadline of July 14th to submit this information. 44 states so far, led by our home state of Massachusetts, have said, nah, no thanks. Some said we can't provide the social security numbers, even the last 4. Others said we're not going to do it in the way you requested, which is through an online portal. And what is amazing is that you've got Kentucky and California agreeing about something here, which is we're not giving you the information. You know that the request is outrageous when Kentucky and California are on the same page.
It makes you think what 6 states are volunteering the information.
Just to be clear, some of those have not yet refused. They haven't necessarily agreed yet.
Well, I think refusing makes total sense. We just learned about 2 weeks ago that there's a Republican analytics firm who stored sensitive voter data onto some unsecured servers. And of course, that information got leaked. I don't know if there was social security numbers on there, but certainly dates of birth and phone numbers and addresses. And that was of 61% of the American public. Why would we trust one of Trump's hacks then, in that case, to have that information?
So that's question 1, which Pat is pointing out, which is, does anyone trust the Trump administration with this information? You'd have to be a moron to say yes. But then there's question number 2, which is, why do they need this information? How will we fix the problem, a problem that, of course, doesn't exist, with this information? Instead, what's more likely is that this is the type of information that will be used to further suppress the vote by figuring out, hey, where are more Democrats voting? Where are more Republicans voting? What types of elections are they voting in? Where do they live? This is all the real goal of what's going on here. Now, I'm sure Republicans will be on our side on this, Pat, right? Because this is the assertion of states' rights, a constitutionally protected form of expression by states, the ability to assert their states' rights. I'm sure Republicans will say, good for the states asserting their rights. No, that's not what they're saying. Where are you on this, is my question to the right-wingers. Anyone even hints at a list of the guns in the United States, and right-wingers lose their heads. Trump now wants a list of all voters and whether they voted, and they're silent?
Right,
How do they justify that?
This is something that you have a constitutional right to, right? To vote. It's not a privilege, and you can't deny that for any reason based on, race or gender or anything else.
Or finances.
Finances.
As often comes up with the voter IDs. If you look back in history at who has gathered and compiled voting data, I'm not talking about in the U.S., I don't even have to mention anybody to you. Just look back over the last couple of hundred years around the world at who has sought to gather and compile voting data. It's not great company that Donald Trump and Kris Kobach are putting themselves in. Discuss this with us on our Reddit discussion forum, davidpakman.com/REDDIT. Not good, folks. Not good. Believe me on this. Today's program is made possible in part by GameFly, which is sort of like Netflix for video games. They've got over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can also stream games. You don't even need a gaming console or a computer because you can stream games through your Amazon Fire Stick or Roku box and then use your mobile phone as the controller. You can play as many games as you want for one monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, you can buy them for a low used price, never with due dates or late fees. And our audience can get a 30-day free trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included, no contracts, and you can also stream the games. I think I mentioned that. You can also rent games through the mobile app. Get a free 30-day trial for David Pakman Show viewers and listeners and support our show at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.